West Michigan, it's time for our pick list. Normally, I would expect my predictions and my pick list to stay the same, and while there is some similarities, there's quite a bit differences. I really struggle with this competition because the objective facts, the algorithms that I run to in order to do my statistical analysis were telling me one story, and my eyes as I watched the matches were telling me a very different story. And I just tried to capture that and tried to understand and look and really try to understand why are my numbers different than my visuals. And I kind of was able to come up with what I think is a reasonable pick list. There's going to be names that you're going to recognize, and there's going to be some additions and upgrades and downgrades that as we have information. I mean, this is all information as of the end of the day one. And, there might be new information going into day two, but that's going to be up to you. This is just my consideration, and I hope you take it in consideration when you're making your final scouting pick list. But I'm going to start from the top and talk about the best team at the event. And currently they're ranked number one, and they are the best robot here, in my opinion. That's 6090. I think from Muskegon, when I watched them there, I think they were the best robots there. But what I was blown away by is how much improvement they've done in just 1 week. I mean, they were on my top tier list, but it's just like when I look at them on the field, it's like this is a whole new team, and they were already able to be one of the top robots here, and now they're just unbelievable. Going for to our pick number two, this is the robot that I thought was going to be the best at this event, just based off the numbers, based off the information I was looking at, based off my visuals when I was looking at my pre-scouting, and that's Biting Bulldogs 3539. Now, my issue with Biting Bulldogs and why they're not number one is, I mean, first off, they're an amazing robot and they are fantastic, and any alliance would be just blessed to have them on their team. But some of the things I've noticed is they really, really excel when it's an open field, when they have full control over their field. It's when you have other variables like other robots working on the same side of the field, shooting at the same time, or there's defense being played, or they run out of balls that aren't feeding them. It's like when they run into any obstacle, that's where 6090 shines above 3539. I'm not saying that it's a huge difference, but it's noticeable enough, and that's why I think there is a ranking discrepancy. Going into our third robot, which I think is, I mean, these are all the same tier. These top four picks are all the same tier, and that's gonna be 1918. I mean, we this is their first event, so we didn't really have any data to go off of, which is why they weren't in my initial predictions, but they are exactly where I expected them to be. They shoot like fast, like not just fast, but like real fast. They're not afraid to go to the opponent's side of the field and be a robber and steal those balls. I mean, I saw them get stuck and they just got unstuck just easy. I mean, their drivers are quite impressive, and I mean, they're everything you expect from 1918. And the next robot is 2054, the Tech Fikes. Just incredible. Like, I've seen them play defense while feeding, while shooting, all at the same time. They're just an incredible bot. I think the only thing, and this is something that I noticed that distinguishes them from like 1918, 35, 39, 60, 90 is like 2054 struggles a little bit playing Hungry Hippo. And what I mean by that is when they go into the center to grab all the balls, they have a hard time unloading it. Now, I saw later in the day they started getting better at shooting as they're going, so this became less and less of an issue. But at the beginning of the day, this was not one of their strong suits. After 2054 is where I start to have my first departure from my objective data. And this is where I made a subjective call because my data wasn't really matching my eyes, and I decided to include 3357, the comments. at my number 5 slot. Now my objective rating wanted to put him down 7, but this is my first what I would call a B robot at this event. And that's incredible to say because comets are an amazing robot, but like I predicted and what the data is showing and what my subjective data is showing, all say B robot. Now my objective data wanted to put them closer to 7th, but I put them in the 5th slot because I saw some just incredible things from them. I saw like even when they had a broken intake, they were still so effective at hurting balls. I mean, that was in match 13, and it's just like, oh, they're just a really, really solid robot. And yeah, they had some problems, but the problems never last. And I think that's what's really impressive about the Comets is they did really well, and I think they are a strong pick for any alliance. Now the next pick, also objectively, this would be ranked 8th, but I upgraded them to 6th because I saw their driving and I just was impressed. And that's 2619 the charge. Um, what was so impressive about them is I saw them play offense, which is normal and expected, but they also played great knockout defense. Like I was just blown away by just the defense that they're able to play as well as the offense, and they were able to switch and smooth between them and just drive really smartly. Like I just couldn't comprehend how smart they drove. The next one I have is Bob. Now, Bob is probably the robot that I was just so impressed with just how different they looked from last week. I mean, it's like 69, but they had the complete transformation. 85. I mean, that was a great robot last week. I put Bob as a B robot in my prediction, and I maintained that. But I was just blown away. They have a world class auto. Not only that, they are so good at hurting. They are such smart drivers. And that's the thing. That's what makes a robot like yes, they have a good robot, but it's not just the robot. It's also the drivers and the brains and the vision that they have. They make very good smart decisions in the matches. One of the issues I had with them is their turret doesn't seem to be able to deal with some of the cross streams. So that's one area where I think they struggle a little bit, but their drivers are so well practiced that you don't even notice. They just I was really impressed. The next robot is 5927. And this one was a huge upgrade for me. I had originally rated them not even on my prediction list because I just didn't think they were a robot to really be considered. But why I upgraded them to a B robot is because they have a rock solid auto. They're able to do the I mean shotgun from the side. They have a lightning fast intake. And just when you look at their driving, you can just see this is a good robot. Like you don't see the smoothness in the driving and swerve drives that without really practiced drivers. And so I think they drive like they're a B robot. And that's my main distinction between them and 7054. And 7054, objectively, my stats love 7054. It ranked them 5th objectively, but when I watched them and I think really what scared me about them, I mean, they have a good auto, they have good driving, they're solid, but they sometimes have bad matches. And I think really for me with 7054 is that they serve better as a support rather than just a standalone driver doing 1v3. I think 7054 is a great asset to assist any alliance, but as the captain of an alliance and having to make picks, I just don't know that they could field an alliance like a 60-90. If they're an alliance against anybody, they're going to be a threat. Whereas 70-54, I think they make threats more threatening, but they themselves struggle to be a threat, and that's actually why I call them a B minus. This is my first B minus on the list. But my second B minus on the list is 4003, which is another one that was objectively rated quite highly based off my criteria. But my issue with 4003 is that when they were hot, but when they were not, they were having mechanical issues. I mean, there's issues where like sometimes they had the shooter was broke, or or maybe it was just they just weren't able to shoot during defense. It was just unclear what I was seeing. I mean, when they were on, they were really good, and so I think just if they can iron out those problems, I mean, yeah, they're gonna be a solid robot. But right now, it's there's just too much uncertainty that I worry that if they're your pick, you're gambling. And that's why I marked them as B minus. My third B minus team is 3572 Wavelength. I was blown away by their drivers. They are out driving their robot, and that's clear to me. Um, I mean, solid edge shots. I mean, match 9 they carried. Um, I don't think they have the raw power to deal with 60-90, 35-39, 19-18, 20-54 head to head. That's why I have them as a B minus. But it's not because their drivers aren't good. It's their robot just doesn't have the oomph. I think 35-72 easily could be on the winning alliance. I just think you need a little more firepower to make it happen than just 35-72. And then 68-77 is also my B minus list. I really didn't want to put them here, but the objective data really love this team. I just found that their auto was a little bit below what I could consider normally a B, but their objectives were so high that I had to consider them as a B minus team. I just worried that their drivers weren't quite as aware as I would expect for like a B team. I saw them run into alliance partners. I mean, yes, they have a solid robot. I'm not going to disparage that, but I think they just need more drive practice and to really understand what their robot can do before I would consider them as a solid B robot. Um, and that's like the next robot is in my C plus tier, and, and my next robot is 141. Wobots I had such high hopes for. And then I saw them at this event and realized that their drivers just aren't up to this level of competition. In a vacuum, Wobots is a great robot. It's beautiful. It can score like none other. But it was getting bullied here, and they weren't being aggressive enough grabbing the balls, and they were just being very timid, and they were driving like a C robot, not a B robot. And so that's why I have them a C plus. Like I still think they have one of the best. Like they have a very strong robot. They just aren't driving it like a strong robot. And I think if they get some regroup and come tomorrow with fresh minds ready to win, I could see them being a B minus robot, a B robot. But the way they drove today, I think they were a C plus robot. And that being said, phenomenal second pick. Phenomenal. That's why it's C plus. I mean, C means second pick, and they would be a phenomenal second pick. Speaking of phenomenal second picks, 107. It's not just a great, strong defender. No, this is the best defense robot here, period. 107, I couldn't believe how they were able to transition from offense to defense to offense to defense with a snap of a finger. Um, I thought they drove very smart. I thought that I thought that they knew the rules. They weren't getting penalties. Like, if you want a defense robot, you need 107. I there's really maybe one other defensive bot I can recommend. Otherwise, there just really weren't defensive bots that knew the rules that wouldn't get penalties. 107 was one of those robots. Um, Speaking of Holland, we have Chaos. I think 74 is the next C plus robot. It's the last C plus robot, and I rate them as a C plus robot, and I still rate them as a C plus robot. Now I know they're rated in third currently. Um, and they drive smart. I mean, it's like they drive good and they drive smart, but I just it's a competitive event, and I think at an event this competitive, yes, they're a great robot. 74 is great. I think if they pick a good, solid a robot, they can go places, but it'll just they just won't have the firepower that some of these other robots have. Or maybe they bring their A game, and maybe they do. I mean, they're a C plus robot for a reason. Now, as we get into our C robots, this is where we have 6753. Now 6753, I had them as a B minus, but I had to downgrade them to a C. And the reason why is as I watched them, they made some weird driving decisions. Like I worry they prioritize picking balls up when they really should be prioritizing shooting. Um, I just didn't see this competition requires a certain level of driving and robot. You can't have one or the other. You need to have both. And I just thought that driving wise, they just made some interesting decisions that I just don't think paid off. 6114. I believe this is one of the bots that Fun thought would be a good robot here. And I agree. I think they are a good robot here, but um, they have a little bit of a slower shooter. Now I think they strategically they had some pretty innovative plays, but they just didn't have the robot capable to pull off some of the plays they were trying. I mean, they're good at cycling, like knowing when to be in the shooting slot and cycle off with their alliance partner. I mean, like good driving practices. I'm not saying anything about that, but I just don't think the robot is at the level of the competition. Like I've said it for a couple other robots. It's like it's not that the robot. It's not that it's bad. It's just this is a top tier event. Talking about that, 7195. Um, I have them as the first D plus robot. D plus meaning um they're definitely a second pick. It's not they're not going to be the first picks, but it's a really solid second pick. It's like between the C, which is like the solid second pick, and the D, which is the normal second pick. It's like that the in between area. And I think 7195 is I mean they drive good, they shoot fast, but realistically what's getting them is inconsistency. And that's the inconsistency is really what hurt their objectives because I subjectively as I watch them I'm like they're a good robot, but it's really their numbers just aren't high enough, and that's it. The next robot is 6128, and they're also a decent bot, and they also just are weak on their objectives. I think they're a solid bot, but they just aren't as competitive as West Michigan requires. 4680 also. I mean, they 4680. I saw in match 3. They're getting stuck on balls. Like a good solid bot, but it's a D plus. Um, 11491. Um, they're an okay bot. I think one of the things I saw is I saw them getting penalties. Like one of them, they were like pinning a non-moving robot. I think 11919 sorry, 11491. I struggled to put it. My objectives, they have actually reasonable objectives. Um, where the objective score is saying like, hey, these guys are contributing to their alliance, and I think that's probably through their feeding. I mean, I think they're being pretty effective with this. The issue is I I don't like penalties, and that's why I really struggled to keep them on my list. But I kept them there just because they are an effective feeder, and if that's what you need in your alliance, they're good at that. 3458 code blue. Like I think a lot of their instincts are really good, but they just lack in the execution. I think if they drove more, if they had better, they might just be. But I had to put them as a D plus, and my lowest D plus robot on my pick list, but I think they are still a D plus. Now as we get into the D's, we have 9542. They 9542 has a C tier auto. I mean, they feed, they shoot, they don't get in the way. I mean, I think they're a really high rated D robot, and I think as a second pick, it's not a bad idea to go with them. I mean, they're ranked 14 right now, and we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, I think as a second pick, you could do much worse. Um, Going on to 5623. Um, I, they feed well. I originally had them as a C, but I was forced to downgrade them just because they're not a great shooter. Um, I mean, I I just don't think at this level, like yes, they feed well, but I don't know if that's enough to be higher than where they're at. 244, which has been part of the day at first, and it's kind of crazy to see them as this low on my list. Um, but I mean, originally I didn't even have them on my predictions list, but I mean, they really knocked it out of the park. And I mean, I think they're a very reasonable robot. I Uh, this is why I didn't cut my list off at the 24th, is because they 244 is super reasonable. I mean, and then 288 is the next robot afterwards, and I think they're also um good. I didn't think they were quite as good as 244, but I thought, I originally predicted them as a C robot. I put them as a D robot here, but I thought they did reasonable. Um and then the final robot I kept on my list is 8397. And the reason why I kept them here and didn't exclude them is also, I think they also have a reasonable shooter. And I think they drive reasonably smart. And so I just thought, yeah, actually, this robot does belong in this list. Um, so here's my rankings. Here's my list. We'll see how everything plays out tomorrow and what new information and how the teams show up tomorrow morning. But or later today. Um, but as of right now, I think this is a fairly solid pick list, and I think you could use this, and we'll see how this plays out in the actual picking. But tell me what you think. Tell me where I got it wrong, but I think this list is pretty solid. Hit me up in the comments.